What's up, everybody? Gibson's Lawn Service checking back in. Finished the day up. Had a little side job. Guy wanted me to tear down his fence. Fence already tore down. Had to come back home and get my dump trailer loaded up. Guy wrote in. He said, Gibson, I was wondering if you can make a video about this. Can you speak on? Hold on, y'all. Let me pause. I gotta run in this store and buy some gloves. Guy wrote in. He says, can you speak about your relationship with your father? You always say you talk with your mother, but we rarely hear of conversations with your father. I remember you said that he got on drugs a while ago. Are you and him on speaking terms? All right, you said is me and him on speaking terms. Yes, we're on speaking terms. The only time I see him is if I go on that side of town because he don't have a vehicle to move around because he don't have license. Kids straight out for drugs. But that's part of life. Now, but I can't deny the fact that he didn't put a work ethic in me because he put the work ethic in me. But that's just one of them things. It's like, that's just how life turned out. So, I mean, you can either cry about it or just, it is what it is. And for me, it was just kind of, it is what it is. Because like I say, we was living a good life when he was working because he had his own business. He basically did the same thing I did. He was a pipe fitter, working a night shift, building his business during the day. Then he went all in. And he was making good money. I remember one year the man made like $500,000. He had guys working for him. He was paying his guys good. I remember he had locked in a contract to do some apartments. And they paid, and back then, the way I don't know if you call it, general contractor was paying him, he was like, man, we gonna pay you, I think, $20 an hour per man that you have. And back then, I think he did sheetrock work. So the guys that was doing sheetrock work back then, you gotta think this was the 90s. They was getting like $15 an hour, but he ended up paying all his guys $17. So he got all the good workers, and he was making an extra $3 a head on top of that. And I don't know how the junk worked, but he was making good money. My mother didn't work. It was 4 of us. We was homeschooled. I remember I remember when the Super, I don't know if they came out at the same time, but we had Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. I remember having a birthday party every year. We lived good. But like I say, he hurt his back, had to have back surgery. And then I guess you got hooked on painkillers, and it just went left from there. It went from painkillers to drinking to shooting up to, I don't know what he's doing now, but our whole family just went downhill. You see, my mother didn't work. My mother was a housewife. So then my mother had to go get a job, and then we had to go to public school. And I remember going to public school like, dang, I'm in the ghetto. Like, I remember seeing 2 guys at school fight. I never seen none of that, because I'm not gonna say I was sheltered. I was just in a good environment, because we were going to church 3 times a week. The guys in there didn't fight. It was like, I'm explaining it to you. When I was going to church, everybody at church had a mother and a father. The father went to work, and all of the women stayed home and raised the kids. And all of the kids was homeschooled. That's just how it was. So I remember going to public school, and I remember a guy saying, oh yeah, we ain't got the same daddy. I'm like, you ain't got the same daddy? What does that mean? I said, I was so sheltered. But, like I say, he did put a work ethic in me. And I'm gonna be honest, when I got about like 10 or 12, that's when I realized, like, he's not gonna bounce back from this. Like, it's you versus you at this point. Like, nobody's coming to save me. Because you gotta understand, my mother wasn't making the kind of money to buy me Air Force Ones and Jordan tennis shoes, and we can go to the football games, and all of my clothes came from the thrift store, and my shoes came from Walmart and Kmart. Like, through high school, you understand, middle school and high school, you have an identity. You know what I'm saying? And when you get in middle school, high school, you want to look good, you want to dress good. And we couldn't do none of that. we couldn't look and dress good. All we had was stuff from the thrift store. So I knew then, man, if I want something out of life, I got to go work for it and go get it. And that's when I did. I remember trying to lie on an application at 14 to get a job. That just wasn't gonna work. And then I found out Classic Chassis will hire you at 15 if you have a learner's permit. I was making $185 a week at Classic Chassis. And look, when I turned 16, I went to Taco Bell. I told them I said, look, I can work every day. Man, them folks ended up letting me work 5 days a week because I had to take Wednesday off to go to church and I had to take Sunday off to go to church. Man, I was bringing home $4.95 every 2 weeks. First thing I did when I bought me some white Reeboks, some Dickie pants, and some fresh white shirts. Then I went and bought my sister. Back then, the girls was wearing Sperry shoes. I went and bought my sister like 3 pair of Sperry's outfits to match. Then I went back and got me a pair of white Air Force Ones, black Air Force Ones, and all I wore was white shirts, khaki pants, and fresh Forces. And then I just started stacking my cheese up when it bought me a car. Cause it was off to the race. Cause I could only go to work when my mama got off work. My mother used to get off work about 3:30. I'd take her car and go to Taco Bell. I'd be working at Taco Bell from like, high school kids supposed to work 5 to 9. Man, please. As soon as my mother walk in the door, I'm walking out. I pull up at Taco Bell, 4:20, and then leave at 11 o'clock. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays and Saturdays, I would close the store. Fridays and Saturdays, I would work 8 at night to 6 in the morning. I had did that, ran me some money. I had ran up like $4,000 when it bought me a car. And then I was just stacking from there. And I remember I was so locked in if I was just stacking. I remember I had wrecked my car. This was senior year now. This is when everything fell apart for me. Senior year in high school, I wrecked my car on the 4th of July. Somebody ran the red light, I T-boned. Insurance company said, we're only gonna give you $1,500 for the car, but you gotta pay the $500 deductible, so we only give you $1,000. I said, man, screw this. I had $5,000 cash saved. This is all Taco Bell checks now. Found me another car for $4,000, cashed out the $4,000, graduated high school. Matter of fact, this was in the summer of me graduating high school. And I was supposed to be starting welding school the following month. And I was supposed to be getting a grant. Well, they said we can't give grants to 17-year-olds. I said, yeah, I talked to Miss Stacy. Miss Stacy already told me I'm turning 18 the week after school starting. I was good. We can't help you, sorry. Went down there talking to the school. They were like, look, we can set you up on a payment plan, but we need $1,000 a day. So boom, I had just cashed out on my car $4,000. Last $1,000 I had went to school. When that piece of trash insurance check came through, I used that to buy me some welding supplies, gas in my car, and I was working 5 days a week at Taco Bell, going to school. Then I had a little side job doing janitorial work. I did that for about 2 years. When I left welding school and fast food, jumped straight in the shipyard, making $700 a week, ran up 20,000 cash, bought me a truck, ran up another 15 cash, and put it down on my house, and I've been off to the races since. I ain't never looked back. Flip being poor. You don't get nowhere being poor. Flip being poor. That's why I say flip being poor. Run you some money up, you'll feel a lot better. Last week I wasn't feeling too good. This week, I done ran up a little small bag since I quit my job last week. Ran up a small little fortune. And the phone's still jumping off the hook. Flip all of that, man. There's only one way to go in life, and that's up.